Amina stood in the middle of the compound with her head down. People surrounded her, pointing fingers and shouting. Madam Blessing walked around her in circles, her voice loud and angry. "You stole my gold jewelry. I trusted you in my house and this is how you repay me." Neighbors pressed closer with phones raised, recording everything. Children peeked through the gate, curious eyes watching. Amina said nothing. Her hands shook slightly but her lips stayed shut. "Search her room," someone shouted from the crowd. Madam Blessing nodded, satisfied. "Nobody leaves until the police come." "Lock the gate." The gateman hesitated, looking at Amina's face. She was only 17. But Madam Blessing's sharp look made him obey. The metal gate clanged shut. Amina was trapped. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching my folktale story from. The crowd grew louder. Some people insulted Amina. "Thief! Ungrateful girl." Others stayed quiet, watching carefully. An older woman in the back whispered to her friend. "That girl doesn't look like a thief to me." Her friend shrugged. "You never know these days." Amina kept her eyes on the ground. She did not cry. She did not beg. This made Madam Blessing angrier. "Look at her. She's not even denying it." Guilty people stay silent. A young man pushed forward. "Madam, what exactly is missing?" Madam Blessing turned to him dramatically. "My gold necklace and 2 bangles. Pure gold. They were in my bedroom this morning. Now they're gone." Her husband, Mr. Joseph, stood near the door. He looked confused, scratching his head. He opened his mouth as if to speak, then closed it again. Madam Blessing continued her story with confidence. "I wore those bangles to church last Sunday. Everyone saw them. This morning, I placed them on my dresser after my bath. When I returned from the market, they were gone." She pointed at Amina. "Only she was home. Only she enters my bedroom." The crowd murmured. It sounded convincing. Mr. Joseph stepped forward slowly. "Blessing, are you sure they were there this morning?" "I don't remember seeing," his wife cut him off sharply. "Joseph, don't start. Are you calling me a liar?" He stepped back quickly. No. I'm just asking." Madam Blessing pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police right now. This nonsense must end today." Her fingers moved across the screen. Amina finally looked up. Her eyes met Mr. Joseph's for just a moment. 2 years earlier, Amina arrived at the house with just one small bag. She came from a village 3 hours away. Her parents had died in a car accident 6 months before. Her aunt brought her to the city, promising a better life. "Madam Blessing is a good woman," her aunt said. "She will take care of you. Maybe send you to school later." Amina was 15 then, full of hope. Madam Blessing smiled warmly when they arrived. "Welcome, my dear. You'll be like family here." She showed Amina a tiny room behind the kitchen. "Rest today. Tomorrow we start." The next morning came early. Very early. Madam Blessing woke her at 5. "Put on this apron. There's work to do." Amina waited for mention of school. It never came. Instead, she got a list of chores. Washing, cooking, cleaning, childcare. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Amina worked from sunrise to late night. She washed clothes by hand, scrubbed floors on her knees, and cooked 3 meals daily. Madam Blessing had 2 children who needed constant attention. Amina, bathe the children. Amina, iron these clothes. Amina, why is this room still dirty? There were no rest days. No breaks. No time for herself. When Amina asked about school, Madam Blessing waved her hand. Later, later. First you must learn responsibility. Amina's salary was small. Very small. Sometimes Madam Blessing forgot to pay for 2 months. You live here free. You eat my food. That's payment enough. One evening, Amina heard voices from the bedroom. Madam Blessing and Mr. Joseph were arguing. We need to save money. Mr. Joseph said. You're spending too much. What Amina didn't know was Madam Blessing's secret. The woman loved impressing her friends. She wanted to look wealthy, more successful than she truly was. When friends visited, she served expensive drinks and snacks. She wore new clothes every week. She bragged about trips and purchases. But the family's money was not unlimited. Mr. Joseph worked hard, but his salary had limits. So Madam Blessing found another way. She started selling household items secretly. First, it was small things. An extra blender. Old curtains. Then bigger items. A television from the guest room. Kitchen appliances her husband thought were in storage. She collected the money and hid it in her purse. She bought new jewelry to show off, then sold it later when she needed cash. Nobody knew. She kept receipts hidden in her drawer. Madam Blessing wasn't stupid. She knew selling household items could get her in trouble. So she needed protection. A scapegoat. Someone to blame if her husband asked questions. She watched Amina closely. The girl was quiet, hardworking, and had no family nearby to defend her. Perfect. One afternoon, a gold bracelet went missing. Mr. Joseph noticed. Blessing, where's that bracelet I bought you for Christmas? Madam Blessing acted shocked. It's missing. How? When? She searched dramatically, opening drawers and looking under beds. Maybe Amina saw it, she said carefully, planting a seed. Mr. Joseph frowned. Why would you say that? He shrugged. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm just saying she's the only one who cleans the bedroom. The bracelet mysteriously appeared a week later. Madam Blessing claimed she found it. But the seed was planted. Amina was quiet, but she was not blind. She noticed things. She noticed when items disappeared. She noticed when Madam Blessing hid bags in the car trunk. She noticed the receipts in the bedroom drawer. One day while cleaning, she saw a receipt from a gold trader. It showed Madam Blessing selling a necklace. The date was recent. Amina said nothing. She learned early that speaking up brought trouble. She folded the receipt back exactly as she found it. She remembered the date. She remembered the trader's name printed at the top. Weeks passed. More items went missing. A watch. Some silverware. A small radio. Each time, Madam Blessing made comments. Things are disappearing in this house. We need to be careful who we trust. Her eyes always landed on Amina when she said this. One evening, Madam Blessing called Amina to the bedroom. Her voice was sweet but her eyes were cold. Sit down, my dear. Amina sat on the edge of the bed. You've been with us long now. You see everything that happens in this house, right? Amina nodded slowly. Madam Blessing leaned closer. Good. Then you understand that some things are private. Family business stays inside these walls. You understand? Amina understood perfectly. This was a warning. If you talk about what you see, people might think you're causing trouble. They might think you're ungrateful. You don't want that, do you? No, Ma, Amina whispered. Good girl. Madam Blessing patted her head like a child. That night, Amina couldn't sleep. She heard Madam Blessing on the phone in the corridor. Yes, I have the gold. How much will you pay? The final piece of jewelry was the most expensive. A gold necklace with small diamonds. Mr. Joseph's mother had given it to Madam Blessing years ago. It was supposed to be precious, a family heirloom. But Madam Blessing needed money desperately. She had overspent again, and bills were coming. She took the necklace to the same gold trader downtown. A man named Mr. Ton who asked no questions. "This is beautiful," Mr. Ton said, examining it carefully. "I'll give you a good price." They agreed on an amount. Madam Blessing collected the cash, smiling. "Don't mention this to anyone," she said. Mr. Ton nodded. "I never do." She drove home feeling relieved. But that evening, Mr. Joseph asked a simple question. "Blessing, where's my mother's necklace? I want to see it." Her heart stopped. Panic hit Madam Blessing like cold water. She stuttered. The necklace. Why do you want to see it now?" Mr. Joseph looked confused by her reaction. "My sister is coming next week. She wants to borrow it for a wedding." "Where is it?" Madam Blessing's mind raced. She needed a story fast. I think I put it somewhere safe. Let me check tomorrow." But Mr. Joseph was already walking toward the bedroom. "Let's check now. It should be in your jewelry box." She followed him, her hands sweating. She opened the jewelry box slowly. Empty spaces stared back at them. Mr. Joseph frowned. "Where are your other things too? The bangles? The bracelet?" Madam Blessing's voice shook. Someone must have taken them." She turned suddenly toward the door. Amina. Amina." The girl appeared, confused. "Yes, Ma. Did you touch my jewelry?" Amina shook her head. "No, Ma." "Liar." Within minutes, the entire neighborhood knew. Madam Blessing dragged Amina outside, screaming. "Thief! This girl is a thief." Neighbors rushed out of their houses. Phones appeared, recording everything. Amina stood silent as insults flew at her. "Village girl come to steal. This is why you can't trust house helps." Children laughed and pointed. Some threw small stones. Madam Blessing performed well, crying and shouting. "I treated her like my own daughter. I fed her, clothed her, and she stole from me." An old woman pushed through the crowd. "Mama Ngozi," everyone called her. She looked at Amina carefully, then at Madam Blessing. "Madam, I've seen you wearing those bangles before. When did you last see them?" Madam Blessing hesitated for just a second. This morning. I told you." Mama Ngozi nodded slowly. "This morning. Are you sure?" "Yes." "Interesting." Another voice joined in. Mr. Ibrahim, who owned a shop 3 streets away. "Madam Blessing, this jewelry you're talking about. Was it gold?" "Yes." "Pure gold," she snapped. Mr. Ibrahim scratched his chin. "I saw jewelry like that recently. At Mr. Ton's gold trading shop. The pieces looked expensive. I even asked him where he got them." The crowd went quiet. Madam Blessing's face changed color. What are you saying?" "Many people sell gold." "True," Mr. Ibrahim agreed. "But the woman selling them looked like you. Same church wrapper. Same hairstyle. I remember thinking you looked familiar." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some people who were shouting at Amina now looked uncertain. Madam Blessing laughed too loudly. "That's ridiculous. Why would I sell my own jewelry?" Mr. Joseph stared at his wife. Something clicked in his mind. The missing television. The blender. The arguments about money. "Blessing," he said quietly. "We need to talk." The crowd slowly dispersed, but the damage was done. Inside the house, Mr. Joseph sat down heavily. His mind replayed the past year. Missing items he'd forgotten about. His wife's expensive habits. Her defensiveness when he asked questions. Blessing, he said slowly. Tell me the truth. Where is the jewelry? She started crying. How can you doubt me? I'm your wife. That girl stole from us and you're questioning me. But her tears didn't work this time. Then you won't mind if we check your phone. Call your bank. Show me receipts. Her crying stopped. Joseph, you're being ridiculous. Show me the receipts for the jewelry. You keep receipts for everything, right? Silence. He stood up. I'm calling Mr. Ton tomorrow. If Ibrahim saw someone who looked like you, we'll find out. Madam Blessing's hands trembled. You're choosing a house girl over your wife? I'm choosing the truth, he replied. The next morning, police arrived as promised. But the mood had changed. People whispered differently now. Officer James asked Amina to speak. She had been silent for so long that her voice sounded strange. But when she spoke, her words were clear and calm. I clean Madam's room every day. I saw receipts in her drawer. Receipts from a gold trader named Mr. Tond. The dates were recent. The jewelry she says I stole, I saw her hide in her bag weeks ago. The crowd gasped. Amina continued. I heard her on the phone at night, talking about selling gold. I saw her count money and hide it in her purse. I said nothing because I was afraid. Madam Blessing jumped up. She's lying. This girl is a liar. But Amina's calm voice made her screaming sound desperate. Officer James wrote everything down. We'll visit Mr. Tond. If there are records, we'll see them. Mr. Tond's shop was small but organized. He kept records of every transaction in a thick notebook. When Officer James asked about Madam Blessing, Mr. Tond hesitated. I'm a businessman. My customers trust me. This is a police matter, Officer James said firmly. Mr. Tond sighed and opened his notebook. He flipped through pages, then stopped. Here. Madam Blessing Okafor. She sold a gold necklace with diamonds. 2 bangles. Several other items over 6 months. He showed the dates, amounts, and even Madam Blessing's signature. Officer James took photos of the pages. Did she mention why she was selling? Mr. Tond shrugged. People sell gold for many reasons. I don't ask questions. Back at the house, Officer James showed Mr. Joseph the evidence. The man's face crumbled. Everything was clear now. His wife had been stealing from their own home. And she blamed an innocent girl. Madam Blessing tried to explain. She tried to cry. She tried to blame stress, friends, pressure. Nothing worked. The evidence was clear. The dates matched. The signatures were hers. Her own handwriting convicted her. But I didn't mean to blame Amina. I was confused. I thought maybe she really did take something. Her lies piled up, one on top of another. Each explanation contradicted the last. The neighbors who had insulted Amina now looked ashamed. Some tried to apologize. Others just walked away quietly. Mama Ngozi shook her head. This is why you must be careful before you accuse someone. Words can kill. Officer James closed his notebook. Madam Blessing Okafor, you filed a false police report. You attempted to frame an innocent person. You wasted police resources. Madam Blessing fell to her knees. Please. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. The crowd that once supported Madam Blessing now turned against her. She wanted to destroy that poor girl's life. Imagine if the police had arrested Amina. She would have gone to jail for nothing. This woman is wicked. Pure wickedness. Even her church members who arrived late heard the story and shook their heads in disgust. Her best friend, Sister Clara, looked at her with disappointment. Blessing, how could you? Women who had envied her lifestyle now saw the truth. Everything was fake. Built on lies and theft from her own home. Officer James made his decision. You're coming to the station. We'll complete the paperwork there. As handcuffs clicked around Madam Blessing's wrist, she looked at Amina. The girl's face showed no anger. No happiness. Just quiet sadness. Mr. Joseph stood frozen, watching his wife being led away. Their children cried, confused. The neighbors whispered and recorded everything. Mama Ngozi put her arm around Amina. Come, child. You need rest. At the police station, Mr. Joseph sat beside his wife. He felt shame deeper than any he'd known before. His silence had almost destroyed an innocent girl. I should have spoken up, he said quietly. I knew things were missing. I suspected but said nothing because she's my wife. Officer James looked at him. Your silence had a cost, sir. Later, back at the house, Mr. Joseph called Amina. She stood before him, still wearing her apron. Amina, I'm sorry. I should have protected you. I should have questioned things earlier. She nodded but said nothing. What can I do to make this right? Do you want to go back to your village? I'll pay for everything. Or if you want to stay, you can. With better treatment. Better pay. School fees. Amina looked at him directly for the first time. Sir, I don't want pity. I want justice. I want people to know I didn't steal. That's all. The case went to court 3 weeks later. A small courtroom, but packed with people. News had spread. People came to see the rich woman who framed her house girl. Madam Blessing's lawyer tried to argue. My client was confused. Stressed. She made a mistake in judgment. But the evidence was too strong. Mr. Thorne testified. He brought his records. The signatures matched. The dates matched. Everything matched. Amina testified calmly. She told her story simply. No exaggeration. No drama. Just truth. The magistrate listened carefully. She was an older woman who had seen many cases. When both sides finished, she removed her glasses. This court finds that Madam Blessing Okafor knowingly filed a false report. She attempted to destroy an innocent person's reputation. She showed no remorse until caught. She paused. Amina, you are completely cleared of all accusations. Madam Blessing, you are guilty of false accusation and defamation. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Madam Blessing sat frozen. The magistrate continued. You will pay Amina compensation for the trauma and damage to her reputation. You will also pay a fine to the state for wasting police resources. Additionally, you will issue a public apology. The amount of compensation made people gasp. It was more money than Amina had seen in her life. Madam Blessing's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, my client doesn't have, then she should have thought of that before lying, the magistrate said sharply. This girl could have gone to prison. Her life could have been destroyed. She deserves every kobo. Mr. Joseph agreed to pay immediately. He wanted this nightmare to end. Outside the courthouse, reporters tried to interview Amina. She waved them away. Mama Ngozi led her to a waiting car. Come, child. Let's go home. Amina packed her few belongings that same evening. Everything fit in the same small bag she'd arrived with 2 years ago. Mr. Joseph tried once more to apologize. Amina, please. Stay. We'll treat you properly now. The children love you. She shook her head. Sir, I can't stay in a house where I was called a thief. The memories will never leave. I need to start fresh. He nodded, understanding. He handed her an envelope. The compensation money from court. Plus 3 months' salary I owed you. Plus extra for your suffering. Amina took it without counting. Thank you, sir. She walked out of the gate she'd been locked inside weeks before. This time, her head was high. Neighbors watched from their windows. Some waved. Some looked ashamed. Amina didn't look back. She walked toward the bus stop, carrying her small bag and her dignity. No celebration. No victory dance. Just quiet peace. 2 months later, Amina sat in a classroom. She wore a school uniform, navy blue and white. A notebook sat open before her, and she wrote carefully. The compensation money had changed everything. She rented a small room. She enrolled in an adult education program. She attended classes during the day and studied at night. Her teachers said she was a fast learner. She had missed years of school, but she was catching up quickly. On weekends, she volunteered at a community center. She helped other young domestic workers. She taught them their rights. She taught them to keep records. To speak up. To never accept abuse silently. If something wrong happens, she told them, document it. Remember dates. Remember details. Your memory might save you one day. The girls listened carefully. They saw strength in Amina. She became someone they looked up to. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just steady and true. Meanwhile, Madam Blessing's life collapsed completely. The court case made news. Her church heard everything. Her friends disappeared. Women who used to envy her now pitied her children. Mr. Joseph's relatives stopped visiting. His mother was especially angry. You sold my necklace. The one I gave you. And blamed an innocent girl. The family moved to a smaller house. They couldn't afford the big compound anymore. The children changed schools. Mr. Joseph took a second job to pay debts. Madam Blessing stayed indoors mostly. When she went to the market, people whispered and pointed. That's the woman who tried to jail her house girl. Some laughed. Some insulted her openly. She had no defense. Her reputation was destroyed. Everything she'd worked to build, the image of success, the respect, the admiration, gone. All because of lies. Sometimes she thought about Amina. She wondered where the girl was now. If she was happy. If she'd forgiven her. The truth is simple. Domestic workers see everything. They hear conversations. They notice what's missing. They remember details. They know your secrets even when you think they don't. The way you treat them today might become the story told about you tomorrow. Amina could have stayed silent. She could have accepted the blame out of fear. But truth, even when quiet, is powerful. And lies, no matter how loud, eventually collapse. Today, Amina is studying. Building a future. Using her pain as strength. Madam Blessing is learning that actions have consequences. That you cannot build a good life on lies. That the person you step on today might be the one who determines your tomorrow. So if you have domestic staff, a house girl, a driver, a gardener, a cook, treat them well. Pay them fairly. Respect them. Because dignity is not defined by wealth or position. Every person deserves to be treated like a human being. What lesson did this story teach you? Tell me in the comments below.